Well, hello, beautiful people. How we doing? Back at it again. Here we are on part 8 of Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. And I hope you guys are really enjoying this. So glad for you guys to be here and going along with this and this journey. And I hope you guys are really enjoying this book. We are learning all about the law of attraction, how not to be a victim, and now we're about to learn about just two kinds, the differences between thinking positive and thinking negative. So let's go ahead and get started here. And let me just set everything up. And here we go. Let's start playing.
Just two kinds. You can take every book ever written on the subject of feelings and emotions, every class ever taught on the dark Freudian mysteries of the mind, every counseling group that has ever attempted to get us in touch with that obscure inner child, and anyone else trying to show us how to emancipate those frightening things we call feelings, and boil all the fancy techniques down to one simple remedy for creating an abundant and fulfilling life. Learn to identify a good feeling from a bad feeling. That's it. Learn to do that, and you've got the course made. You can create anything your heart desires. This is the secret that transforms us into deliberate creators instead of creators by accident. This is the power that changes wishful thinking into actuality. The simple art of being able to identify a good feeling from a bad one. That's all there is to it. End of lesson.
Hmm.
Don't worry. These kinds of feelings have nothing to do with digging up garbage from your past or confronting whatever boogeyman might be currently residing in your emotional closet. They're just the garden variety type of feelings we have all day long. But once you learn to keep track of which ones feel good and which ones feel less than good, you're home free. This is the nitty gritty. This is what good luck is all about. This is what closes the big sale, gets the beachfront house, fosters good health, brings spiritual fulfillment, and puts comfortable sums in the bank. Just learn to tell a wonderful feeling from an everyday downer one and watch the magic happen.
Hmm.
Swallowing glass. Feelings. Those things we're all so terrified of if they happen to be negative, are nothing more than electromagnetic charges of energy that go zipping through our body, set off by our thoughts. The only reason we go to such lengths to avoid them is that some of those negative emotions don't feel so hot. We don't like the sensation they give us, so we stuff them way down deep, where we think we don't have to deal with them anymore, and where, frankly, they're raising holy hell with our magnetics. For now, let's just look at the ones we're aware of that don't get buried, starting with our everyday feel bad habit. That could mean anything from flatlining, which is our normal daily state of neither up nor down, just existing, to a little bit down, to rip roaring rage. We feel bad when we think any kind of thought that doesn't have to do with joy, such as guilt, loneliness, anger, resentment, worry, doubt, frustration, stress, even mild concern. Those are all fear-based thoughts that vibrate within us at an extremely low frequency, which is why they don't feel good. They are totally contrary to our high-frequency natural state. On the other hand, we feel good when we think thoughts that have to do with joy, such as appreciation, delight, pleasure, exhilaration, enthusiasm, reverence, awe, gratitude, love, all those warm fuzzies we relish when they happen. The reason those thoughts feel so good to us is because they vibrate at a high frequency, which most definitely is our natural state.
Hmm.
No one can swallow cut up glass and expect to feel good. Yet that's what we do all day with our somber thoughts and feelings. We literally bathe ourselves in unconscious negative energy from our own thoughts as well as everyone else's,
Hmm.
which is totally contrary to our natural state of joy, which is why we rarely ever feel pumped up. We can't, not as long as we're swimming all day in the low frequency energy that we think is perfectly normal. So it becomes a vicious circle. Both our conscious and unconscious day to day feelings that we think are normal are sending unnatural negative vibrations throughout our body, which makes us feel down or blah, or as though we are simply existing, or like we have no feelings at all. Since all of those feelings are various degrees of low frequency energy flow, and since all we're putting out are low frequency vibes, then low frequency, second rate events are all we're attracting back, which makes us feel down,
Hmm.
which puts out more low frequency vibrations, which pulls in more low frequency circumstances, which makes us feel down. And around and around and around we go.
Hmm.
Pat's smiles. A couple of years ago, in one of my weekend seminars on the law of attraction, there was an attractive 35-ish gal, I'll call her Pat, who just couldn't seem to stop being nice. Goody two-shoes nice.
Hmm.
She complimented me on my clothes. I wear sweatshirts and jeans with holes at these seminars. She drooled verbal gratuities all over the cook. She was forever praising the participants for their heartfelt candor as they would correlate certain unpleasant happenings of their past to their bummed out feelings of their present. For someone so overtly sunny, this gal was getting on my low vibrational nerves. After the first night's session was through and we had had our before bed snack, Pat left the dining room, walked right into the big cigarette ash can placed outside the door, and fell flat on her face into a puddle of mud. She got up all cheery. Something was definitely wrong here.
Hmm.
The next day, it was Pat as usual: compliments, praise, perpetual little smiles, and more accidents. She bumped into a chair in the dining room, spilling her fresh cup of coffee into someone's plate. She swallowed a candy the wrong way during someone's truly poignant story and had to be given a punch in the stomach maneuver, after which she couldn't seem to stop nodding her appreciation toward the bear of a guy who had saved her life. That wasn't an accident waiting to happen. She was a perpetual accident in progress. Finally, with prodding from the participants, Pat's story began to unfold. She came from a deeply religious family in which being good was what you did. The dictator of this stern way of life was her dad, who was also the minister of their church, and a third-generation minister at that. So this show only goodness to the world, no matter how you feel, was so deeply ingrained in her by her dad. Pat truly believed this to be appropriate behavior. And it might have been, had it not been for the strong inner feelings of animosity that went along with her smiles. I used to hate having to be so proper and flattering all the time, especially to my elders, she said quietly during one session. Complimenting adults terrified me, but I had to do it. All the time I had to do it. Pat's current life was this side of a mess. Though she had a college degree, she never moved beyond her entry level wherever she worked. She'd already been through 3 marriages and had enough accident claims to have her auto insurance canceled.
Wow.
Her life had been more extreme than most, yet most of us could relate in one way or another. With her permission, we began to dissect her life as it related to her feelings. The results were stunning. It didn't take long for everyone to see how Pat's long standing, yet hidden feelings of confusion, hostility, and unworthiness had created a constant outpouring of very low vibrations with every compliment or smile she emitted. And she got it. In no time at all, she could see the direct correlation between what she had been flowing out and the results she had been magnetizing back into her life. Yuck out, yuck back, someone said, and she could see it clearly. Pat has kept in touch and told me of a new excitement in her life that is bringing her more rich rewards than she ever dared to dream. She has stopped trying to please everyone except herself and has even ventured into offering a few criticisms now and then.
Hmm.
She tells me she smiles only when she means it and compliments only when she feels sincere. Today, Pat is head of her own substance abuse recovery house. She's been with the same guy now for 2 years and hasn't so much as tapped another car. What we flow out is what we get back. Pat has had to work hard at changing her negative outflow. And while the negative emotions are not 100% gone, they never will be for any of us. Her predominant feelings of appreciation and gratitude, as opposed to feeling hopeless and luckless, have irrevocably transformed her life. The feelings we flow out become the tangibles we attract back. It's that simple.
All
What makes
right.
feelings?
Stop this. Okay. Very interesting. Well, can anybody relate to Pat? I mean, it's crazy because her parents basically were telling her that she had to be this way, even though her life was in disarray, um, and what was coming about, and how just she kept constantly not even realizing it. But she took on smoking, right? Like because the anxiety was just too high for her. Um, but just these little shifts of that level of awareness, or we talk about that change, is what led her so that she's now on a totally different path, and those negative things that were she was building up on her own, not even realizing it, were now gone because she stopped being the victim. And and we don't want to blame our parents. I mean, our parents, they do the best that they can with what they have. If someone would have told their parents, it would have started that trajectory differently for her, but it didn't. But the good thing is, generation after generation is not continued to be passed down now, because you've now stopped that, and now Pat can give a whole new generation to the future family, which that in itself is great. And that's the beauty of this work. I remember when I was first learning this work, I used to think everything was happening to me. I don't know if you guys remember the TV show Schlep Rock. I mean, excuse me, the Flintstones. And I think it was the Flintstone kids, and there was a character named Schlep Rock. And he's always like, woe is me, oh woe is me, and he'd always have like this cloud over his head, and he'd just be depressed all the time, and nobody wanted to be around him. And I always felt like I was him, because I just felt like life was happening to me. I wasn't happening to life. And I didn't know about creating my own reality, and it wasn't until I learned this stuff in my early 20s that I finally realized that I'm not Schlep Rock, or I didn't have to be Schlep Rock. I was creating myself to be Schlep Rock. And because I was labeling myself as such, all the things that was happening to that character in that cartoon was actually happening to me because of me. So I hope you guys are getting that and understanding that, because this stuff is very powerful once you realize that you are really truly creating your own reality. So comment down below if you guys can relate, or maybe if you know of some situations, or maybe you were a pet or are still, you know, because this is how we overcome these things for sure. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's come back again tomorrow and do the same thing. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you guys don't miss anything. And until next time, you guys make it a great day. Take care.